So as I said, welcome and good morning. We're so excited to see what 2019 has in store for the Rare Foundation Alliance. This is our Q1 call, and we have some exciting information and events to share with you. My name is Laura Borruso, and I'm the program coordinator here at Global Genes in the Patient Engagement Department. And I am the Global Genes staff member who is coordinating the Foundation Alliance. If at any point you have any further questions about the Foundation Alliance or any of the happenings, please feel free to reach out to me via my email on the screen. Here's the agenda for today. We have several new programs and information that we're sharing with you. So I'll start out by doing a Global Genes overview, and then we will have Tuesday Dyer do a welcome for the new members and provide some Foundation Alliance updates. Then we have my colleague Christian Rubio doing a presentation on a new Global Genes program called Data DIY. Then my colleague Kanoy will be doing an event overview. Ashley Yee will be doing some information, providing some information about educational programs. And then we have a special presentation by Eden Lord, who will give us more information about how to host a virtual event. And that will then be followed by a Q&A session. So first, I'd like to start out by giving a little bit information about who Global Genes is and what we do. The Global Genes mission is to connect, empower, and inspire the rare disease community. And our vision is a globally connected community equipped to eliminate the challenges of rare disease. And we do this by providing hope, support, and connection to the rare disease community. I'd like to first start out by mentioning the news about the Global Genes website. For those of you who were on our last webinar, you know that Global Genes launched a new website. And as Foundation Alliance members, you have exclusive opportunities to participate in our resource hub, in the events hub, and also to create a portal account. If you have any questions about this, feel free to connect with me. It's a great way to connect with others and see what events are happening in the rare disease community worldwide. I'd now like to introduce one of our Rare Foundation Alliance Leadership Council members, Tuesday Dyer. We've had several applications turned in for the Rare Foundation Alliance Council with only 9 spots to fill. And Tuesday is the Executive Director of CFC International and will be moderating our call today. So now I'd like to welcome Tuesday Dyer.
Wonderful. Thank you so much for having me. I'm excited to moderate the call, and I'm also excited to welcome new Foundation Alliance Leadership Council members. We have over 550 member organizations for Global Genes, and we, of course, here are our Leadership Council members, and we have several new ones as well that we'll show in just a moment. But we'd like to welcome Katie Stevens from Team Telomere, Melissa Bryce Gamble from the Global Foundation for Peroxisomal Disorders, Danny Miller from MEPAN Foundation, Sarah Chisholm for BPAN Warriors, Nathan Peck for Cure VCP Disease Incorporated, Ginger Spitzer for Foundation for Sarcoidosis Research, Kelly Trout for International WAGR Syndrome Association, Marnie Cartelli for RSDSA. Those are our new Leadership Council members, and we're very excited to kickstart this and get this new endeavor for the Leadership Council started. So thank you. Up next, we have our new members. We have several new members, new member organizations for Global Genes, but here are just a few logos that represent some of our new member organizations, and I believe we have 2 slides of new member organizations this time, so quite a few. Next, we have our Data DIY with Christian Rubio, who is the VP of Community Development and Digital Engagement. So, Christian, welcome.
Thank you so much. I'm just really excited to be here. I'm glad to join the team. I've been a friend of Global Genes for a few years and a big supporter on several different digital engagement strategies and projects. And the new one that I'm working on with Global Genes that brought me over full-time is this new capacity building series that's being supported by the Chan Zuckerberg Initiative called Data DIY, your involvement in driving understanding, discovery, and treatments for rare disease. This is really kind of it's a 4-part program comprised of 4 workbooks, both in print and will be digital as well. And those digital elements will follow basically a progression, or the 4 workbooks will follow a progression of understanding the basics of a data strategy and having one for your organization. Because as we've heard from all the different conferences we go to and all the conversations we have, it's one thing to say for someone to tell us, think long-term about your data strategy. It's another thing to answer questions about the how and what does it mean. So day 1, as you can see, the 4 workbooks are laid out, and they are launched with live days. So those who come to our live events will actually get a much more, even more interactive experience with mentors and speakers who are there to kind of walk you through their own stories and provide some more personal advice along the way. The first day, the Whys and Hows of Data Collection, representing the first workbook, will launch May 3rd in Irvine, California. Travel scholarships can be made available as well. And I'll get into a little bit more about the Whys and Hows Day and the workbook on the next slide. All right, so the Whys and Hows of Data Collection. It's really all about making sure everybody is on a great starting point. And then again, as you progress, we'll make sure that there's common understanding of what kind of data we're talking about, how it's used in collaboration with researchers, and really, most importantly, how to prepare your journey to be able to assess platforms and tools and put together a data collection strategy that minimizes the risk of not asking the right questions or not structuring data in a way that can travel well with you. After all, we're all data owners of our own health data, and as leaders, we're stewards of other people's data as well. On the right, you see some of the great collaborators and participants. Some of them are presenting content to us, others are doing interviews, and others are actually going to be speakers and making themselves available the whole day for some of that mentorship. We've got a bunch of confirmations coming in, and we're really excited to keep everybody updated as we near the live day.
Next, we have Kanoa Fragris, our event coordinator for Global Genes, and she's going to give us an update on the upcoming events.
All right. Hi there, everyone. I am very excited to talk about some of our great events we have planned for you this year. First off, we're going to start with our Rare Patient Advocacy Summit. Mark your calendars. It's going to be taking place on September 18th through the 20th in San Diego, California. Be on the lookout as registration is going to be launching next week, along with some exhibiting and travel scholarship opportunities. This is a great event because it is the largest educational gathering of rare patients, advocates, and stakeholders with about 800 people in attendance. We have a really great agenda planned for you all with great keynotes, networking sessions, and exhibitors. So as Foundation Alliance members, please be on the lookout for your discount codes coming next week. We will also be doing our Rare Champion of Hope celebration dinner on the Friday the 20th. So please also be on the lookout for Champion of Hope nominations, also opening next week as well. And lastly, if this is your first time attending our summit, we will be offering a freshman orientation and mentorship program. So if you are interested in that, please feel free to reach out to Lauda at laudab@globalgenes.org for more information. Next up, we are very excited to announce that Global Genes is a charity partner at the OC Marathon this year, which is taking place on May 3rd through the 5th. So we will have opportunities to join a Global Genes team to run the race or the marathon, and also volunteer as well and raise money for your organization. So please be on the lookout for more information coming out later to you all next week. We also have our Rare Drug Development Symposium taking place on June 6th through the 7th in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. This event is a collaboration between Global Genes and the University of Pennsylvania Orphan Disease Center. The purpose of this event is to educate patient advocates on the drug development process and the role that advocates play in that process. So registration is already open for this. So if you'd like to register, please visit our website to do so. We also have exhibiting and poster presentation opportunities open as well. We are also very excited to announce that we will have a welcome reception on that Thursday, June 6th, which will feature Cure Accelerator Live Rare Disease, which is a philanthropic pitch competition where finalists present their clinical repurposing projects for patients with rare diseases. Everyone who attends will have the opportunity to vote for which presentation they like best, and the winner will end up receiving up to $50,000 in funding for their research. So this event is complimentary with your symposium registration. So yeah. We are also excited to announce that also taking place before the symposium on June 6th will be our Rare Entrepreneur Bootcamp. So this event helps guide rare disease advocates through the planning and process of rare disease therapy development as an entrepreneur. This event is specifically designed for rare disease advocates who are actively funding rare disease research, have a plan to take the research to therapeutic discovery and development, or considering creating a company or funding a company as a venture philanthropic, sorry, I can't pronounce that word right now, philanthropic effort to begin the therapeutic development process. If you're interested in this event, you must register for the Rare Drug Development Symposium and also complete an application. If you would like more information on this, please contact Maureen MacArthur Hart at the email listed on this slide. And lastly, we also have our Rare on the Road Rare Disease Leadership Tour event coming up soon. So this is an event put on by Global Genes and the Every Life Foundation for Rare Disease. This is a great workshop event that will help patients learn how to tell their stories, connect with others within the community, learn a bit more about the legislative process, and how they can get involved with that. So our first event is actually coming up within the next 2 weeks in Boston, Massachusetts on March 30th. There will also be one on May 4th in Birmingham, Alabama, May 18th in Denver, Colorado, and July 13th in Sioux Falls, South Dakota. Registration is now open. You can register at raretour.org. There's also travel scholarship opportunities open for Birmingham, Denver, and Sioux Falls as well.
Thank you so much, Christian and Kanoy. And now we have an update from Ashley Yee from Educational Programs, the Patient Education Director and Patient Engagement for Global Genes.
Hi, everyone. Thank you, Susie, for introducing me. I'm going to try to move my slides forward. So as everyone knows, I work on the education programs here at Global Genes. And so here's just a quick snapshot of some of the programs that we do offer. I'll just be speaking on a couple of them as we have some new releases coming out. I will mention that we don't have a slide in here for it, but our Rare University Intro to Genetics course should be coming out next month. So look for that in our newsletters and social media. So we do have a poster presenting opportunity for many of you who came to our summit last year. We offered an opportunity to do an inaugural year of poster presenting. We had a great success and a really great interest in it from our community. And so we'll be doing it again this year at both our Rare Drug Development Symposium as well as our Patient Advocacy Summit in September. But right now we do have applications open for abstract submission, and they will be due April 5th. Again, this is for the Rare Drug Development Symposium. You can find more details about the poster guidelines on our Events Hub under the Symposium tab. If you haven't been able to join us for our poster presentation workshops or are curious about how to do a poster, whether you're applying for the abstract or not, we do have a 3-part series. One happened just a couple days ago, which I believe many of you were all on. That recording should be made available within the next week through our webinar under our Resource Hub. We also will have a webinar on April 24th, hosted by Ben Ford and Mosimi Bose, and April 24th, and May 23rd, hosted by Ben Ford and Katie Jensen. We'll be going over how to build a poster as well as how to present a poster. I believe registrations are available, and all these will have links to it when we send out the slides post this webinar. So if you're interested, though, shoot me over an email if you have questions, but we look forward to receiving your abstracts. For the Rare Compassion Project, some of you may not know this name. This is formerly the David R. Cox Family Match Program. This has been an evolving program. We're really excited this year to really offer this in a larger expansion. We will be able to now match families and students throughout the year as interest comes into our organization. The students will have will be eligible to apply for a scholarship through our organization through their experience with connecting with families. Those scholarship submissions, if you happen to work with any medical schools or know of anyone in your community that has connections to medical schools, those scholarship submissions will open up May 20th. But again, this is live currently. You can visit our website for more details on the scholarship, the guidelines, or just the matching program. Please share with your community. We're hoping to have a great turnout from from all of them, the US, Canada, and the UK this year. So please continue to share this. Last year we had a great turnout, and we hope to have another really good one this year. For the Rare Patient Impact Grant, I know many of you all have been asking a lot of questions, and we do have the Rare Patient Impact Grant opening May 1st with tentative deadline for your letter of intent submissions by end of June. I will be having, once again, a FAQ webinar around the end of May to talk about some of the new changes. But an overview of just some of the new changes, as we are constantly morphing this program to fit the needs of our community. We have re-roped back in the rare travel support back into the general support category, although we'll have a different way of our committee dividing out those letter of intent so that everyone is judged fairly against projects that are similar to their own. And a new category that will be opening up this year will be on capacity building. So if you are a support group, or you are a very young nonprofit and you're looking to get help on those startups or getting your feet grounded, this category will be for you. Again, more details on that will come out in the new guidelines. Expect the guidelines on our website around mid to end of April. And again, we'll be having a webinar at the end of May to discuss more of those changes. And as always, I am willing and able to have any phone calls with anyone from foundations in order to help better prepare you all for the Rare Patient Impact Grant upcoming round. So feel free to always ask questions. And again, I will send out emails, or Laura will send out emails when these slides and recording are made available. So we look forward to starting that program again.
Thank you, Ashley. And if anyone has any questions for any of the Global Genes team, just remember we'll do a little Q&A at the end of this call. And up next, we have our special presenter today who is going to talk about a virtual event hosting. This is Eden Lord. She's the founder and CEO of My City Med, and we are happy to welcome her to the call today. So welcome, Eden, and thank you so much for being here.
Next there. Oh, there's another great tool. So it's really exciting to be involved in kind of what Global's doing and to partner with you like we did at our last event, which we'll go over in a minute here. So today, my purpose is really to discuss where we see the future going at My City Med for virtual event hosting and how nonprofits can leverage a virtual event platform in order to reach their patient groups, build and foster that sense of community, and leverage that event for fundraising purposes, which excites all of us, I think. See if it'll let me advance here. Bear with me.
Eden, go ahead and let us know if you'd like us to move the slides forward if there's any tech trouble happening.
Yes, please. That would be great if you don't mind. It's not allowing me to forward.
Of course.
So if you go ahead, I would appreciate that. There we go. So our main topics today will be covering kind of what traditional conference needs are, as everyone knows, in hosting those events, traditional versus virtual events, solutions, the Rare Fair, our event that we hosted last year that was kind of our inaugural foray, how a virtual event works, and then results and opportunities for nonprofits. So essentially, when we look at our conference needs, we talk about many of the things that Global covers. How do you build that community base? How do you engage your patient base with available resources? And different treatment options and just kind of educate your patient base about what's available out there. So if you want to go ahead and advance, we'll jump into kind of the differences between traditional and virtual events. So traditionally, you love the in-person, excuse me, face-to-face time that you have when you visit with someone at a traditional event. You're able to promote your organization's mission, build relationships. The downside is you are excluding those patients who might not be able to travel even with a stipend due to medical needs or just the struggle of finding a caregiver to replace them at home or travel expenses. So it does tax the budget to host a traditional event, and your reach is essentially narrowed to those who are able to physically travel. And the other feature that we have an issue with is when you do have somebody who's a subject matter expert in an area and they are overseas, how difficult is that to get that person away from their practice into the U.S., make that time arrangement, and have that person available really in a long-term capacity to build the relationship ongoing with people who might be in attendance. It's also difficult to follow up. We like the virtual environment in addition to the traditional environment because it's inclusive. Everybody's in. We like to say that every patient has a seat at the table, and it allows a nonprofit organization to really target a specific channel with their mission and share the good work that they're doing. Builds and strengthens the relationships within the industry, very budget friendly, and it can be used, as I said, as a fundraising tool because we're in a position where we can leverage the technology to bring in sponsors to help buffer the cost, and then our nonprofit partners would then pocket that difference as basically an offshoot of their fundraising efforts. The reach is much more expansive. We now have a global audience that we're playing to instead of just a specific country or region. And then accessibility of the experts. We do use Adobe Connect to feature those expert presentations, and those can either be live streamed or pre-recorded. And then the other benefit of having the virtual format is on-demand availability for 120 days. So for many of us, especially on our staff, our primary complaint with a traditional event is you forget things as you walk out the door. Even if you have access to those materials online, it's really nice to be able to revisit the conference for that 120-day window after and reconnect with people that you might have made a connection with initially, but you want to follow up, or review some of those resources like the Global Genes materials that we provided in our patient education room. We saw those access time and again at Rare Fair even well after the event had closed. You can go ahead and advance. Thank you. So when it comes to making sure that everyone's at the table, we wanted a solution that was inclusive and accessible, maximizes the budget of a small nonprofit, and allows nonprofits and organizations to connect with their supporters and sponsors in a high visibility way. Virtual events are very social media friendly because we're able to promote the event and include those links, but share kind of the familiar faces that people see on social media that might be involved in a nonprofit virtual event or hosting. So it's really the maximum impact for investment. One of the most telling testimonials that we got out of our Rare Fair event last year was actually a patient who was watching a patient advocacy talk by one of our presenters, and she was in her hospital bed. And she kind of chatted in, typed a quick little message and said, "My doctor's telling me I need to get off of my tablet because I'm disrupting the other patient in my room, but I really want to watch this presentation. How do I advocate for myself?" And we all kind of took a step back and went, this is exactly what we're trying to do. We're trying to reach patients where they are, regardless of where they are, and make that connection and let them know, as we said, there is a seat at the table for every single patient. So if you want to go ahead and advance for me again, please. So we came up with the concept of having a comprehensive Rare Fair that would enable all rare diseases and different subsections to participate in a single event and benefit from common resources. Again, I keep coming back to those global gene packs that make such a big difference for patients that are recently diagnosed or caregivers who are kind of struggling to find their way. So the Rare Fair for us was a great opportunity to build those networks and show people where those resources are. It removes all those travel and budget constraints that you typically would see associated with traveling to a conference. It includes all those voices at the table, provides greater exposure to different treatment options. We actually had a specific room for a group called PCAN, and there were several patients who were not aware of an open clinical trial. So we were able to share that information with them and offer that up as an option should they choose to pursue it. Great community building tool because you're able to see people and engage. We do have a live chat feature, so you're able to have conversations there that are recorded for your review later if you should choose to come back. And then highlighting the good works of nonprofit organizations, their missions, what they're currently working on, and driving donations back to their organizations through booth exhibits. We also employ gamification to kind of boost the camaraderie in the group. We had little graphic zebras throughout the fair. So it works similar to when you would be going through a traditional conference and you get your card punched. You have 12 punches at the end and you enter in a drawing to win a water bottle or something of that nature. We have those zebras that would accumulate points, and then prizes are awarded to the top earners at the end of the fair, just to kind of keep people engaged, have a little fun with it, and just, you know, kind of show people that we understand that there's a human side when we attend the fairs, and here's a little distraction that gets people in the booths and engaging with others. So if you want to flip to the next one, this is a look at our lobby area. If you could advance for me, please. Is it letting you?
Eden, we're on the slide of the exhibit hall. Is this the correct one?
I am still showing the rare fair, but if we can get on the lobby slide, I can go back and speak to that one. So when you look at that initial lobby slide, you'll see that we're set up just like a traditional conference when you would walk in. We've got a help desk that is equipped with people from 7 to 7. That's the hours that we run our event. We also have our exhibit hall that have all of those exhibitor booths. We have signage for our sponsors, an auditorium for those, there we go, that's up, an auditorium for presentations that we had mentioned that are available on demand. We actually staggered ours throughout the day to ensure maximum attendance. And then you'll see in the upper right-hand corner the patient education room with one of those zebras as mentioned. And then on the lower right-hand side, you'll see a patient networking room. So we have all of those kind of traditional components repeated at the bottom on that orange taskbar, but we also have the ability to include a patient digital binder. So any information, PDFs, documents that anyone would see while they're in attendance at the fair, you can click and save on that PDF or that file, and it puts it in your digital binder so you can revisit it later. And it's not a question of, oh, which folder was I in, which exhibitor, where do I need to go for that? So patients have access to their digital binders for 120 days after the event. And then in the exhibit hall itself, you can see how it's structured. We had 33 different vendors, or exhibitors rather, at the Rare Fair. And the booths are all available alphabetically in the exhibitor directory, but it's just an opportunity to scroll through much as you would walk through an exhibit hall and see who's out there and visit those different booths. Each organization that hosted a booth was able to customize the information that they would have inside available, whether that be a link to a video on YouTube, or if that would be a PDF regarding a clinical trial. It's really 100% customizable and caters to exactly what the exhibitor wants visitors to their booth to see. And then you'll see on the children's in exhibitor booth slide that we're on, I don't know if we've advanced to that one. So for the children's in, we put up specific videos that they had sent for us. They were actually our beneficiary from a portion of ticket sales this year and will be again this fall. But it was just an opportunity for us to showcase what the good works are that the inn is doing. And then we provided a donate button directly out to their site. So visitors who came through who wanted to make a donation didn't have to go through a third party or PayPal or anything else. It went directly out to the children's inn site for a donation. And then if we move on to the auditorium slide, we did end up having 12 speakers that were all U.S. based. For this fall's Rare Fair event, we actually have already secured speakers from Senegal and Australia, as well as the U.S. So we're excited to expand our reach there. We have live or on demand. So when you have a participant come on board and offer up a presentation, they can do it live through Adobe and then have access to the chat function live down in the bottom of the window to answer questions or address comments, or we play it on demand. if there's a time conflict, they're still able to go ahead and record their presentation, and then at the conclusion, they make themselves available for the chat during the same window of time. So they don't have to be there for the entire presentation, but they are available for those questions that might come up. And again, all of this is available for 120 days after the event. And then after that, in our instance, our materials go up on our YouTube channel. So the nonprofit organizations who would want to host their own events would be able to have those videos live on in perpetuity wherever they chose after the 120 days. And then if you advance to the next slide, we did have a patient education room that was sponsored this year. And those were kind of the comprehensive tools to help patients manage a diagnosis. So this is one of the features that were available to offer on the virtual platform of having kind of a classroom setup. But we really, the ability to customize is unbelievable, and it's really exciting to see what we're able to put out there and make available for people to log in and see, whether that be a nonprofit wants to host a poster session. That ability is coming. We'll be offering that this fall at the Rare Fair. So now poster sessions don't have to consist of rolling up your poster and toting it through the airport. It's all digital and it's all readily available online. So that's one of the exciting resources that we have on tap. And then if you'll advance to the next one, beyond the patient room, we can talk about results. So for us, it was exciting because it's our inaugural year, but we had reached over 250 attendees. 79 different disease states were represented in 6 different countries. We had attendees from the US, England, Ghana, Spain, Canada, and Israel. And we had over 50 live chats logged. So the average attendee who came through stayed for 6 hours and 21 minutes. That is pretty impressive. We were very excited to see that level of engagement. We did have 32 states represented, and of the 33 exhibitors that we had available for booth or for attendees to visit, there were 1,656 separate booth entries. So those 257 people were either entering the same booth a couple of times or hitting every booth at the fair in order to grab those zebra points for gamification purposes, but they were engaged. And next year we'll be able to provide reports, detailed reports to all of our attendees on who exhibited or who entered an exhibitor's booth. As long as the attendee signs off and says that yes, they would like to engage, we'll be able to provide information on the patient, the disease group they identify with, how long they stayed in the booth, the different collateral that they clicked on, and so on and so forth. And to that end, on the different collateral that is available in each booth, we had over 3,000 content views. It was actually 3,099 between the presentations and the material.
Eden, are you able to hear us still? Sorry, everyone, hang tight. I think we might have just lost Eden for a quick second. Eden, if you're able to let us know if you have reconnected.
Hello?
Oh, Eden?
Can you hear me?
I can. Can you hear us?
Okay.
All right, we're back. We're back.
I've not budged from where I'm sitting. It's the Twilight Zone. Goodness. So when we estimated those travel dollars, we really took a look at the travel booth and set up in that kind of day one and the time that it takes just to have somebody boots on the ground to set up all of that and lug all of those materials with them. and then the day 2 of the actual travel or the actual event, and then day 3 of tear down and travel back to wherever you're coming from. Wow, I am in the twilight zone. Bear with me. I apologize. So when we talk about opportunities for nonprofits, this is where I kind of get, as my 12-year-old says, the goosies, because there are so many opportunities to engage our nonprofits and to turn this into profit. Primarily, our goal is to offer up this technology to our nonprofit organizations so you can go and create your own virtual events. We will host those events. We will walk you through the process from start to finish, and we will help you engage with your organization's population to advance knowledge and whatever treatments are available and things of that nature, and do it with sponsor dollars. So ultimately, we have a package that we have put together that allows you to approach a potential sponsor, whether that relationship currently exists or it's one that you'd like to pursue, that explains what the concept of a virtual conference is, the goals, kind of the takeaways, why it's an excellent event and what it means to host that kind of an event for a specific population. And then from there, it's really a question of an organization determining how large or how small they want the event to be. So that would speak to number of booths, number of presentations, speakers, and then we're able to scale our service where we host at cost. And then the remainder of whatever funds that would be raised go back into the nonprofit coffers. So we think that we found a solution that is engaging, allows nonprofits to leverage the budgets that they have. And then if they don't want to host necessarily a traditional event, if that's something that they've done in the past, this is something now that is available in off years. So you can fluctuate back and forth, and maybe, even years we're going to hold a traditional ground event and we'll supplement that with a virtual event in the even years. So this is just another tool to kind of help spread a nonprofit's reach and help them engage with others. And then the other component is offering this as a companion piece to a traditional event. So if you are fond of the traditional event, you like that FaceTime, but you would like to include others beyond just broadcasting a webcast that no one can interact with or ask questions of, we have this companion piece where all of your exhibitors on ground would have a virtual booth mirrored on your online platform, and then all of your attendees who typically could not travel could have discounted ticket rates that are much more affordable because you're not dealing with hotel fees and securing the cost of lunch and things like that. Those people are able to actually participate in the webinar presentations and ask questions and engage with other people at the fair. So you would really have kind of duplicate entry for any attendees who are on ground, and then the virtual attendance for anyone who isn't able to make it there in person. So we get excited about it because we like the reach, we like the depth of content, we like the accessibility for 120 days. So when we go through and we sponsor one of these, or we host one of these events and work with our nonprofit organizations, it's really just easy, simple steps. You secure your sponsors and exhibitors, you build those existing relationships, and you bring them to your event with you, and you let them know that they're a valuable stakeholder. We build out the event, you build out your network. We design the event. We actually have the capability to change backgrounds, to change color schemes, to change up kind of everything so it reflects the look and feel of your nonprofit organization. And then on event day, we support you from start to finish. Our events typically run 12 hours. Some of our partner organizations that are bringing on their virtual events don't necessarily last that long because they are able to go back and access it for 120 days. And then after the event, we do a debriefing and follow-up. We plan for the following year. We do a survey to find out what worked and what didn't. And we kind of circle our wagons and see where we're at and how we can make the event even better for the next year. So we have 3 My City Med events coming up this fall. We've got the Rare Fair, which is our second coming of our inaugural event. And then the Genetics Summit, we will also be focusing on poster sessions for that event and having researchers come in and be more involved, as well as physicians and other stakeholders. So that's a really good opportunity for patients to learn a little bit more about all of the different types of tests that are out there and kind of get their arms around what testing could mean for them and could mean for specific nonprofit disease populations. And then the MedTech Expo, super excited about that. We've got companies like Microsoft and Toshiba coming in to kind of share their latest and greatest. And again, nobody has to leave their house. One of our favorite parts was we had representatives from England or attendees from England last year who had logged in their jammies and slippers with a cup of tea, and they were able to focus and take notes and not worry about the ins and outs of which room do I need to go to or anything else. And they were participating with us from overseas in real time, and that was just a huge win for us. So those are some of the events that we have on tap. We do have other events coming up with some of our nonprofit partners, and we'll release more of those details as we're able. I think that might be near the end. If we have any questions, I've kind of anticipated several.
Yes, if we have any questions, if you please feel free to post them in the Q&A box on your screen. And we will, certainly if they're for Eden, you can address them to Eden. If they're for one of the other Global Genes team members, you can indicate who the question is for, or we can direct it to the appropriate person, but we'll open up for Q&A now.
Yeah, we've gotten a few questions come through. The first question is, how does a Foundation Alliance member get one started, a virtual event? What are the next steps?
You can reach out to us. You can email me directly. My email address is on that final slide. You can also go out to mycitymed.com/event-hosting, and there's a form out there. But it's really the starting point is how big do you want your event and what kind of budget are we looking at? And then we will work to cater our costs to match your event so you do come away with profit to put back in your pocket.
Thank you, Eden. Another question is there special pricing for Foundation Alliance members?
We can certainly negotiate that. Right now, everything that we are doing for Global is at cost. So it's basically just our cost of labor. We're just charging enough to keep our lights on.
Thank you. Another one that has come through is, how do attendees find and network with other attendees?
So we have an attendee directory that you can opt into if you would like to network with others, but you will see a live chat function down in the lower right-hand corner of every event. And when you pop that up, you can see who's available and online to chat at that time.
Thank you, Eden. Another one is, what is the communication like between attendees and exhibitors?
So that, again, is live chat function. So one of the cool things that I really appreciate about it is you can walk into the booth and you can select the button that'll say speak to a representative, and they'll have someone specific from their organization. Whoever they would send out to a traditional event is usually the person who's manning that booth. And you're able to have that chat dialogue and then set up offline communication if you'd like to. Since we are open for 120 days post-event, attendees who are back in, and well, everyone's able to log back in, but attendees who choose to log back in can leave a message in the booth for that vendor or exhibitor, and then they'll have a notification emailed to them that says, oh, hey, you've got a message out here. You need to go reconnect with this person from the event. Our goal is just to promote the dialogue until they can take it offline and kind of nurture the relationship from there.
Great, thank you. And I do also want to announce that this recording of this quarterly call and the poster presentations that Ashley mentioned will be available in the private Foundation Alliance Facebook group. So for the leaders of the organizations who have access to that group, please go ahead, feel free to listen to the recordings on there. And if you are a leader of an organization and are not in the private Foundation Alliance Facebook group, please feel free to email me, Laura, at laurab@globalgenes.org to get invited to that page. We don't have any other questions coming in at this time. So I am going to go ahead and pass it back over to Susie so she can wrap it up.
Hi, sorry, Susie, before we wrap it up, Eden, there was one more question that came through last minute. One person asked, is the option for a virtual fair, is it strictly for U.S. Alliance members, or can others internationally benefit from this?
No, it is definitely international. In fact, we were texting before this and saying, hey, we think we've got an organization in Europe. We want to connect those organizations that might have interest overseas. Absolutely, there are no barriers other than language, and we are working on trying to make sure that we've got a couple of different languages based on where an event is located accessible, so we've got the translation ability, and then also we're looking into closed captioning as well. We want everybody in.
Great, thank you, Eden.
Thank you, everyone. So if we don't have any other questions, I want to thank everyone for being here today. It's a very informative, great call. I know as an executive director, this virtual conference was really, really informative and very helpful for us going forward. If you have any other questions, you can reach out to the Global Genes staff outside of this, as well as Eden at her personal email address that she shared. Our next quarterly call is going to be June 12th at 10 a.m. Pacific. That's 1 p.m. Eastern. And we look forward to seeing and hearing from you all then. Thank you, everyone.